What's up, guys? It's Dynasty with the Mountaintops back again for week 16 into 17, which means semis into finals. So not so many people need help anymore. However, hopefully you're one of them. But before we get started here, I want to definitely introduce my co-host, Jeremy. How you doing tonight, my man?
I'm doing fantastic. 'Tis the season to be jolly, and we are all jolly.
Extremely jolly, yes. Week of Christmas. Christmas slate, not so fun. However, it is what it is. It's still football, right?
That's right. Football is football.
That's right. I thought it was going to be a lot better, especially that night game, but oh well. So we're going to talk here about week 16. Obviously, the injuries, takeaways, and standouts. Not necessarily takeaways this week. We're actually going to switch it up, give you a couple updates, and also our updates on our finals, if we have any, and how those are going, things like that. So we'll talk about those as well. Obviously, our two standouts apiece for each position, and then we'll have week 17 flex options, known as championship week in most circles, unless you're one of them insane people who play week 18, and hope for the best there. And then we're going to talk about a little bit of college football playoff prospects. So prospects for the 2026 NFL draft for you that are going to be playing in this game for the dynasty realm there. So any skill positions, quarterback, things like that. So we'll run through, I think it's like 9 or 10 players there. So we'll run through those as well. But first off, as we start every week, we're going to start a little bit negative here with some injuries. So first off, we have Lamar Jackson, back injury, did not return. I'm hearing that he might not play this week. I haven't heard any confirmation in that, but I heard a lot of. Is Tyler Huntley the backup again there?
Yes, so we have Snoop Huntley. We'll start if Lamar doesn't.
Yeah, and when he was in Baltimore, he was actually okay. A lot better than when he was in Miami. So that's good. Josh Allen, x-rays on the foot, returned to the game, however, so should be okay there. Quinshon Judkins, fractured fibula, carted off 4 or 5 months. He'll be out, so should be okay for next year, but we shall see how that works out. But definitely done for this week and the rest of the year here for the Browns. Jordan Love had a concussion. I doubt he's going to play, but it's not fully confirmed from what I understand yet. Have you heard anything different?
I have not heard much different on Jordan Love. Like I said, usually how these concussion things go. If they haven't missed a week, they're going to miss a week. So we'll see how they do, especially with real playoffs being so close. These teams are going to take these injuries lightly.
Right, especially with a team who's basically in almost. I mean, they are still fighting a little bit, but they should be one of those teams that are in the playoffs and need to get healthy. So, Trevion Henderson, they said it was a head injury.
I'm hearing concussion as well for Henderson.
Okay.
And Keyshawn Boutte as well. Both of them went down with a head injury. Both of them went out with a concussion. Same thing. If they leave the game with a concussion, odds are, unless you're the Cincinnati Bengals, odds are your players are going to miss the game. So let's. I don't want to say let's rule out Trevion Henderson for your finals, but let's think of some backup plans.
Yeah, we'll have a backup plan for you in Flex. Just a little hint there.
Look at you.
For you. Yep. Always foreshadowing here. Jordan Mason, ankle injury, did not return. I'm hearing that Aaron Jones got a little banged up, but he gets banged up every week as well. So it sounds like it's going to be a lot of Jones this weekend is what I'm hearing. Josh Jacobs, knee ankle injury. He's been dealing with this for like 4 or 5 weeks now, and keeps playing. I guess he re-aggravated it a little bit. We'll see what happens there, especially with Love out with concussion more than likely. Gardner Minshew, torn ACL. Man, when Kansas City falls apart, they fall apart. He has the end of his season, obviously, and now there's a guy who I've never heard of, even in college, going to start for the Kansas City Chiefs, from what I understand. Kamani Vidal, neck injury, did not return. With the neck, that's like the head. I don't know if you're playing next week. Those are 2 very important pieces of your body there. JJ McCarthy, right hand, did not return as well to the game. Sounds like Max Brosmer is probably going to start next week. So good luck with your Viking shares. George
Can
Kittle.
confirm. We got Brosmer coming in next week. It's a hairline fracture on the right hand of JJ McCarthy. So can confirm he is out week 17.
And that is the throwing hand as well. So
yes.
Yeah, definitely. Probably. I'm assuming he's probably done for the year. Why bring him back in for 1 week if he's not going to play this week? So might want to temper expectations on your Viking shares. Just saying. Last night we had George Kittle have a monster game, and we'll talk about him in a little bit. However, he did get hurt in the first half with a leg injury. They say legs should be okay. That's what I heard. Haven't heard much else other than that, but he did not return last night, which thank you to him for not returning. And we'll talk about that in just a second. And Rasheed Rice, concussion protocol still, did not play this past week, and he's not past protocol yet, the concussion protocol. So I don't know if he's going to play this week. I'd be surprised if you bring back your star receiver with a third string quarterback and not much to play for. But
it's a lost season. I can't see Rice coming back, especially if them playing Thursday and not clearing concussion protocol. It sounds like he'll be shelved for the year. At least that's what that would do if I was the Chiefs.
Yep, it makes sense. I mean, you know what you have in him. No Mahomes, so it doesn't really make sense to play him either. I agree. Any other injuries that you know of? Because there was quite a slate of them that we didn't go over, or any cleanup you need to do?
No, I think we did a decent amount of cleanup as we went through. Just the Quinshon Judkins injury is definitely the most serious out of all these ones. With the most lasting impression, from what I'm understanding, it's an injury very similar to what Scatabo had, but his is a little bit more leg injury versus ankle injury as opposed to Scatabo's ankle dominance over the fibula. But from what I understand, minimal knee damage, as minimal as you can. So that's good news on that. But you're always worried about this kind of injury with a running back. So we'd be curious to see how things go next year with Judkins.
Quinshon being a rookie, played pretty well at the beginning of the season, kind of fell off as the Browns kind of fell apart. But hopefully he'll be okay for next year and return to the early season form that he had prior. So absolutely there. And then just a couple updates. DK Metcalf, if you have him in your finals, I feel bad for you because you're going to miss him in the next game. Suspended 2 games for swinging at a fan. Steelers can't have nice things. Deshaun Watson not being activated. I don't know why this is news. However, it was all over ESPN, so apparently it is news. So he will not be activated this year. Woohoo.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, big whoop there. Yeah, that's all the updates I had. It was a pretty simple week, and we're getting into the finals, so we were going to talk real quick instead of takeaways this week because, literally we have the finals left. It was the semifinals, not too many takeaways we can really talk about except for the standouts that we'll talk about in just a minute. So we were just going to run down. Did you make the finals? What's the outlook? How did it happen? Anything like that? And I know you said you were in the finals already in your one league. So if you want to start off, tell us what's going on.
Yeah, I'll back clean up here. Should be short and sweet. Listeners know that mine's a 2-week psychotic 2-week playoff format. This is week 2 of the finals approaching. I am facing the undefeated commissioner in the league, and it's not close. He didn't have any of his guys step up. It's now currently 185 to 65 with another week going into it. So I'm up by 120 points. Ashton Genty, Joe Burrow, Puka Nakua, they all stepped up for me. Jamar Chase. I had a very successful day with my start 9. Short and sweet. I'm in cruise control pending a catastrophic collapse. I should wrap it up, and this would be my 3rd consecutive dynasty championship in this league, establishing myself, ironically, as a dynasty in itself. So I'm looking forward to the amount of trash talk and bragging rights that are going to come with it.
Yeah, and if you were playing the kill mode, or I forget the championship way to talk about it, but you win 3 in a row, some leagues start back over. make you restart because your team's too good. So that's pretty awesome for you, man. Hopefully that's not one of them, so you can win next year too.
How about you, sir? How you holding up?
Yeah, for me, for my dynasty team, I'm actually in the finals, 1 out of 2. So we have the top team in the league. I ended up being the number 4 team because of losing last week of the season to the guy who took second. And our game came down to Juwan Jennings versus George Kittle. If Kittle wouldn't have gotten hurt, thank you, Kittle, again. I appreciate it. I probably would not have won. It was that close. I was up by like 15 going into the game. George Kittle absolutely goes off in the first half, and then he doesn't come back in the game. Juwan Jennings ends up scoring a touchdown, puts me back over. I win by like 3 or 4, I think. Insane game. Really fun. That's what we play fantasy for, that kind of adrenaline at the end of the week, right? It's so much fun. So pretty awesome. In the money, which is phenomenal. That's another reason I play. Obviously, have fun and win money. Always good. And I also am in the finals in a first-year redraft. First time I've been in this league, redraft league, and I have 4 of the same players in both. So I just want to shout those out real quick. Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith. I don't know how that stack got me to the finals, but they did. And then Devon Achane and Trey McBride. Trey McBride obviously had a rough game, but everyone else stepped up other than him, so it ended up working out for me. And Achane had over 15-point game like normal. So yeah, really great. 2 out of 4 leagues, I'm in the finals. I'll say that's a good year.
It's a fantastic year. That's something that you should be proud of, hang your hat on. It takes luck and skill. You need a chip and a chair to do it, and you were successful in both. You got a chip, you got a chair, you have had luck, and you've had skill. So kudos to you on a 50% success rate, and let's hope that continues and win some money.
Absolutely. Let's do it. So before we move on and try to help you win your championships and ours as well, we're going to talk about the week that was with the standouts. So first off, quarterbacks. One of the guys who were on my finals team, I had to call him out, Justin Herbert. He ended up being QB4 on the week. 23 of 29, 6 incompletions. That's it. 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 8 carries for 42 yards and a touchdown as well for Justin Herbert. Just a heck of a day for him. Showing the wheels a little bit, being able to throw the ball wherever he wanted. Just a phenomenal game. When we thought he was kind of falling apart, here he comes being a absolute stud when you need him the most. And then Caleb Williams, I'll say it, I was wrong. All right. He's not Drake May, but he's getting close. Caleb Williams looked pedestrian for the first 3 quarters, and when the 4th quarter hit, he looked like a completely different quarterback. So much poise, so much grace in the pocket there. 19 at 34, 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, 3 carries for 30 yards. Both touchdowns were in the 4th quarter and OT to win the game. Just absolutely ridiculous down the stretch. Down by 10 points with 5 minutes left, the Bears were. He took them back, or he took them to the promised land with 5 minutes left. With I think 2 minutes left in the game, basically, and started to come back there. So absolutely incredible, but it was a Jekyll and Hyde. First 3 quarters versus the 4th quarter and the overtime, but what a heck of a week for Caleb.
Very happy you called out Caleb to the game. He's one of those ones that if you weren't going to, I was. It's the inconsistency that's going to hurt Caleb Williams, at least this year. But when he does ball, he balls. So I'm glad to see him make the shout out here. Look, Bears are something, man. Bears are something. That Ben Johnson combination's working. I didn't think it would be this successful this fast, but it is, and we'll see how it goes. The 2 quarterbacks I wanted to mention, first off, is almost a spitting image of the situation of Caleb Williams is a quarterback that I wanted to shout out who's almost was written off as a bust at the beginning of the year. Trevor Lawrence. They have come on out of the shadows of the AFC South and are not only 3rd in the entire conference, but well in grasp of a significant playoff spot and in the home game, no less. Trevor Lawrence went 22 for 36 for 279 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also ran for a touchdown and accumulated around 20 yards on 6 attempts. So Trevor Lawrence had himself a day again in the air and on the ground, 4 total touchdowns for Trevor Lawrence. Speaking of 4 total touchdowns, it leads into my second quarterback, number 9 in your programs, number 1 in my heart, Mr. Joseph Lee Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals, who went for 25 for 32, 309 yards, again, 4 touchdowns. One major stat for Joe Burrow that I wanted to shout out was no turnovers. Now, it seems like a little comical of a stat, but the 2 prior games, he had 2 turnovers each. Both games coming back from his surgically repaired toe. He threw 2 interceptions. So it was nice to see not only a 4 touchdown day, not only to see no interceptions, but to see him in my starting lineup for the finals. Thank you, Joe. I owe you one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Joe Burrow had a day. Luckily, he was on your team and showed out for you. Trevor Lawrence has looked like one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. I mean, there's no question about it. He started off a little rough. However, the last, I think it's since the bye week at least, he's been one of the top, I think, 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the NFL, fantasy-wise. So, absolute stud. He's been on here multiple times because it was a shock at first, and now it's just praise. You know what I mean? So, love that call by you.
Well said.
And this is the one that if you didn't pick him, I was. So, I agree with you on that one.
Well said. Let's transition now into our running backs here. I wanted to shout out somebody who has not made this list much at all, if at all, this season, Ashton Genty. He has had himself a very rough rookie year, and we don't want to go into the words of a bust realm because it's a situational deployment as well with his offensive line and the Vegas Raiders just not being good. But he had himself his career high day on Sunday. Once again, thank you, Mr. Genty, for being in my lineup. Another successful chess piece for my 3-peats. He went to 24 carries. He had 128 yards and a touchdown. His youngest was 51 yards. He averaged at 5.3 yards per carry. He also had 1 catch for 60 yards, which was a touchdown. It was probably one of the most highlighted plays of the weekend. Him catching along the sideline. So Ashton Genty having himself a career day against a very stout Houston Texans defense. It came a shock to many, including myself, but I'll take it. Another one who does not need no introduction and who has been on here a few times before is Bijan Robinson. He went 16 carries for 76 yards, 29 yards was the longest, and he had averaged at 4.8 yards per carry. He also had 7 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. So Bijan Robinson is showing his absolute fluidity on the field with both running and passing. Once again, playing well and hopefully helping you all out in your semifinals.
Yeah, Bijan's been a stud all year. One of the best running backs in the NFL, and he's still young. Going to continue. Ashton Genty, I'm going to make a public apology. I was right, just late, really, really late. I touted him all off season, preseason. I thought he was going to be a stud coming in, and then I realized the Raiders are terrible. That's my fault. But since this is a Dynasty podcast, Ashton Genty is just showing the beginning of what he can do. Now, for those of you who didn't play him because you saw the matchup, saw what he's done this year, and it made sense not to play him, you just saw 30 points on your bench. I feel really bad for you, and I apologize, especially you, wifey. 31 points was on your bench, and now you're out of guillotine. So I really do apologize. But the process is right if you benched him this past week. Just going to let you say that. Calm down. It's not the end of the world. Moving on.
I actually was going to toy him. I was toying with benching him. I went back and forth all weekend on who to play him with, and I ended up playing him over your next running back, sir.
Oh, well, you would have been okay either way because Jaylen Warren, running back 4 on the week. Yeah, I'm a homer, absolutely, but he had a heck of a day. Could have used the other running back, too, who had an incredible catch. If you haven't seen it, watch Gainwell's catch.
Insane catch. Insane catch.
Yeah, Warren going 14 carries, 143 yards, 2 tutties. Both of those touchdowns, 45 yards exactly. which is kind of weird, but heck of a day for him. Also caught both of his balls, only for 8 yards, but still 2 for 2 in receiving as well. The other guy I want to shout out, I can't believe I'm doing this because uh, he hasn't really been that great this year, but Kenneth Walker, 11 carries, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Caught all 3 of his passes for 64 yards as well. Whenever I get to talk about Kenneth Walker because of how good he actually is, I try to because he's kind of forgotten about up in Seattle sometimes, even by Seattle. So it's nice whenever he gets some recognition there. So wanted to shout him out real quick.
I'm a big fan of Kenneth Walker. I'm a Michigan State Spartan fan. So anybody that has roots from there, I'm going to follow you throughout. And I mean, you nailed the observation perfectly on the head. He's had his moments of brightness, and this was definitely one of them this season. And it's good to see him continue to carry it on.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'm going to do something that you do every so often, and pick 2 guys from the same game for the wide receivers because it was the 2 most dominant wide receivers in football going up against each other, and they did not disappoint. Puka Nacua with 12 catches on 16 targets, 225 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
That is insane.
Yeah,
I can't believe like he's still 225 yards is a day.
This is against, by the way, these both are against the other defense. Like, he did this against a really good Seattle defense. Granted, they got a little injured during the game. However, it was still against the really good Seattle defense. And then JSN says, hold my beer. Because he does nothing in the first half. However, in the second half and overtime, he comes to show out. 8 catches on 13 targets, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Scored the touchdown in OT to give them the opportunity to go for 2, and then the incredible 2-point conversion play to tight end I didn't even know was on the team for the win. So no catches in the first half, and then gets 8 catches in the second half. Just goes absolutely ham. Best 2 players in the NFL, probably, wide receiver wise. I know you love Chase, but I mean, what these 2 are doing, pretty impressive.
If you're on the present time, you mean Chase is probably the 3rd in this group of 3. If you're on the present time, yeah, JSN is just absolutely week in and week out and racking up insane yardage, especially yak yards. That is what he's definitely been doing fantastically. And then there's Puka Nacua, just absolutely slicing and dicing the slot. One of my favorite players in the league, not only to watch, but just an overall player crush. Puka Nacua. So again, 225 yards. Not to sound like a broken record, but also somebody in my finals lineup. It was a big contribution, and it was a solid start to a very successful week.
Yeah, and before we move on, for Puka, I think this happens because Devonta Adams is obviously out, right? However, it could have went the complete opposite way, and all the attention go on Puka. Maybe that happened. It just doesn't matter. He's just that dude. But it was like a Jekyll and Hyde. I believe it could have went one of 2 ways. It wasn't going to be in the middle at all, and it ended up going the right way for you for sure.
Worked out. Thank you so much for that, and all levels. At this time, I'm going to transition to my wide receivers. I'm going to start off with Chris Olave, somebody who I haven't given any flowers yet this year. I'm going to give it to him now. Went 10 for 16, 148 yards in the air, 2 total touchdowns in the day. 38 yards was his longest catch, and he averaged a nice 14.8 yards per catch. He's now had 70 yards and or a touchdown in 5 of his last 6 games. So Chris Olave is continuing his consistency on the field in supporting the New Orleans Saints. Another one I wanted to shout out was Alec Pierce from last night's Monday Night Football game. This dude is Mr. Consistency when it comes to long yardage balls. He had 4 for 4, a nice whopping 86 yards for a 21.5 yards per catch stat line, and 2 touchdowns on the day. He and Phillip Rivers were on point last night, and definitely showed up on the scoreboard. Pierce actually doubled his touchdown total for the season just last night. Being yard takers for Rivers. So, Alec Pierce, shout out.
Yeah, for Alec Pierce, he looks like a legitimate receiver. When he first came out, I was like, okay, he's the go guy. If that makes sense, kind of like a Mike
Yes.
Williams or a Gabe Davis is a perfect example for the Bills when he was on that team, or when he was with Stephon Diggs. He was the go guy all the time. If he was catching the ball, it was going to be over 20 yards, right? But he's turned himself. Alec Pierce has turned himself into a route guy too, where he's not just going down the field all the time, which is cool to see. And then Chris Olave finally is showing up this year. Finally, meaning he's been hurt the rest of his career.
Yeah, he's healthy.
This year, he has shown up and shown out, and I'm so happy we were finally talking about him.
This time I'm going to use this transition to our tight ends. First tight end I wanted to talk about is New England's favorite tight end, Hunter Henry. He had himself a quiet day per standards of shout-outs, but I still wanted to give him his flowers here. He went 6 for 7 for 35 yards, and he had his touchdown, the opening touchdown of the day for New England. He's become a very reliable resource to Drake May, and he contributed to Drake May's success. Hunter Henry shout out 11 yards shy of his career high. He had a career high in yardage in 2023, and he's 11 yards shy of that. So I anticipate him to break that this week. Next tight end I wanted to shout out is also a safety blanket for his young quarterback, is Chig Okonkwo. He went 6 for 8 for 44 yards and a touchdown. He too has been a reliable resource to Cam Ward's success. So Chig and Hunter Henry, my tight ends for the week.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter Henry, you're right. He is that safety valve for May. Finds the end zone, it seems like every other week almost. So nice to see him on here. Chig, we've been talking about Gunnar Helm for probably 4 or 5 weeks, and then he just says, hold on, I'm still on this team. Might not be next year, but still on this team right now. So nice day for Chig as well. For me, George Kittle last night, I've talked about him twice already. I'm going to talk about him again because that's the kind of day he had. Half. This is a half. 7 catches on 8 targets, 115 yards and a touchdown. 1 half for a tight end. Number 1 tight end on the week, by the way, in a half. Unfortunately, he was injured in the first half, end of the first half there. But I need to reiterate, this was a half. He could have, insane what he was doing last night, him and Purdy. So luckily for the Colts, he ended up getting hurt. Lucky for me as well. I'm going to say it one more time. Thank you for being hurt for just 1 half, but it's okay. And then the other guy, Harold Fannin, 4 catches on 6 targets, 34 yards and a touchdown. Also had a rushing touchdown for 1 yard. I don't know if it was a tush push or if it was just or what kind of touchdown it was, but he did run the ball in from the 1 yard line.
It was, in fact, a tush push. We're starting to see a little bit more of these tight ends utilizing the tush push in a fashion. And I kind of like this idea. Tight ends are predominantly bigger than quarterbacks.
Unless you're Jalen Hurts.
Unless you're Jalen Hurts, yes. But they're predominantly bigger than quarterbacks. And some of these are, I don't want to say that they're replaceable, but I'm much would rather a risk an injury toward my tight end than I would my starting quarterback. So we're seeing like AJ Barners, and we're seeing the Steelers are doing it with Hayward, but now Harold Fannin's trying to do it in Cleveland. So yeah, we're seeing different positions utilize tush push. Harold Fannin was one of them.
Yeah, super athletic tight ends are going to be really good at this. Strong, super athletic tight ends, really good at this. And then the Steelers use Connor Hayward, I'm sure, because they're like, well, if you get injured, we got 3 other tight ends, it'll be okay. But also 80's pushing them, so that kind of helps. That big monster of a tight end, Washington. But yeah, I mean, great day for all these guys, for sure. And we're going to move into our flex options here. Like every other week, we got our top 5 flex options. Mine are a little bit more higher than normal, I would say. Bigger names, I guess, for the most part, because it's finals week. You probably have a pretty darn good team at this point if you're still playing, so it would make sense. Unless you're in the toilet bowl, and you might have an okay team. Who knows? But we're going to start with Jeremy's number 5.
This is a perfect segue because the tight end I wanted to start with is Harold Fannin. Tight end of Cleveland playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is ranked as a top 5 fantasy tight end by most experts for this week because he is playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have allowed the 4th most fantasy points and 2nd most receptions to opposing tight ends this entire 2025 season. In their previous meeting in Week 6, Fannin caught 7 passes for 81 yards on 10 targets. And in his last 4 games, Fannin ranks as the overall tight end 3 in fantasy football. Harold Fannin, my 5 flex spot.
I can't hate the idea. I hate that it's a Brown because the Steelers play him. However, what have I said the last few weeks? That every single week the Steelers cannot play against tight ends, and it's been true consistently for 20 years or so, maybe even longer. So I like the call, and Harold Fannin, great call there. For me, I need this to happen, so I'm a little biased on it, but he had a great game last night. I'm going to continue it. Juwan Jennings, Bears going up against the Bears defense. They are tied 3rd most with 20-plus yard catches allowed. Who's going to make those? Probably Juwan Jennings, especially if Kittle somehow doesn't play. 5th most receiving touchdowns allowed as well for the Bears defense. Yes, they turn the ball over a lot, but outside of that, their pass defense is not very good. They do turn the ball over a lot, so Purdy's obviously got to watch that. But like I said, outside of that, it's not very scary. So expect Juwan Jennings to have a really nice day.
Juwan Jennings deserves to be on here, especially because I do, in fact, anticipate Kittle not to play at least 1 week, if not rest him till playoffs. We'll see how that goes. But Juwan Jennings should get some action here, especially with Kittle sitting out. So fantastic pickup. My number 4 is going to be running back Tyrone Tracy out of New York Giants. They're playing the Las Vegas Raiders defense, who have allowed the 8th most fantasy points to opposing running backs this season, including 15 rushing touchdowns against. Tracy's maintained significant lead in snap share and rush share over Singletary ever since Scatabo went down. So he's obviously, to me, the primary back. Tracy has recorded over 70 rushing yards in 4 of his last 6 games and has finished as a top 20 fantasy running back in the 3 of his last 4. So the volume's there, the opportunity's there, and the matchup is there. I'm going Tyrone Tracy's my number 4.
I love it. I love that call as well. For me, I'm going with running back as well. Chris Rodriguez going against the Dallas Cowboys defense, of course. Now, I did say that the rushing game or the rush defense was getting better. However, Quinnen Williams is hurt, has not been playing the last few weeks, and we've seen what happened. They've been getting smashed on the run game. I believe he's still going to be out this week. It's not 100%, so hopefully that's the case for this call. But for Chris Rodriguez, he is the number 1 guy. He's the number 1 back for them when he's healthy. Seeing close to 50% of the snaps, and the other 2 are about 35 or so combined, or about 50% apiece combined with Bill and McNichols. But he is the one, if the game's close, which I kind of anticipate it being because both teams aren't very good, especially on defense. So it should be a high-scoring, fun game, depending on who the quarterback is for Washington, because I don't know. So we'll see there. Yeah, I expect Chris Rodriguez to have a really nice day, especially without Quinnen Williams there.
I like the pick. Chris Rodriguez is definitely the bell cow now, in my opinion. Definitely for the most reliable runs and an overall consensus of the back says Chris Rodriguez deserves a spot there. My number 3 is going to be R.J. Harvey against the Kansas City Chiefs. He is a consensus top 25 running back for the week and a reliable starter for all fantasy championship matchups. Harvey has averaged 16.8 fantasy points in 5 games since Dobbins was injured, and he's handled 61% of the rush attempts. He has an impressive 7 rushing touchdowns on the 2025 season, including 5 in his last 3 games. I'm starting R.J. Harvey with confidence.
I love that call. For me, Michael Wilson, I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is back. Trey McBride probably is going to go absolutely insane because he had his first bad week, I think, of the year this past week. And they're playing who else but the Bengals defense. So reasoning for Michael Wilson over anybody else on this team is because I believe Marvin Harrison Jr. is playing, and if he does play, DJ Turner is going to be covering him. He's the only cornerback who actually matters on the defense of the Bengals, pretty much the only player on the defense that matters. Which means that Michael Wilson is going to be wide open pretty much consistently, and Brissett loves throwing to him, so it all makes sense. Also, the Bengals tied most receiving touchdowns with 31, with the Cowboys, who I talked about earlier. Of course, fifth most receiving yards allowed with 3,592. Second most 20-plus yard catches allowed with 53. And as I said before, DJ Turner should be locked on Marvin Harrison Jr. for most of the game. So,
I like it.
This week.
I like Wilson as well, and Trey McBride's too good of a target share for us to put him in a flex option. So therefore, Michael Wilson
there's no way you can do that.
You're right. Yeah. So Michael Wilson by far is definitely the next man up in regards to who's going to benefit from it. I'm actually going to take a little bit of a pivot here because I'm going to stick within the same game. My number 2 flex is going to be T. Higgins from Cincinnati against those Cardinals. He's generally a top 15 wide receiver due to his target share and the red zone opportunities. He's been the primary red zone target for Joe Burrow with 10 touchdowns in 13 games during this 25 season that he's played. He is tied for the second most red zone targets in the NFL since week 11. And he's going against a Arizona Cardinals team that has been favorable for opposing wide receivers. So I give T. Higgins a high ceiling and go against these Cardinals and what anticipates to be a shootout.
Yeah, this game might be super fun to watch, even though it doesn't mean anything. Like 48-50 kind of score. Like, it's going to be bad. No defense whatsoever, except for DJ Turner. So moving on, I have Jacoby Myers. Yes, I said Jacoby Myers. If you listen to the podcast weekly, I have told you how much I'm not a fan of him. However, Trevor Lawrence is a fan of him. So that means I'm a fan of him this week. They're going against the Colts, the third most receiving yards allowed in 3,699. And he's the number one for T-Law. I mean, it's not even a question, in my opinion, anymore. BTJ and Parker Washington. Washington had a great game last week, don't get me wrong. But the guy who's getting the most targets is Jacoby Myers. So fire him up against the Colts D, who still does not have Sauce Gardner.
Big fan of Jacoby Myers. I liked him when he was in the Raiders, and I was hoping that he was getting himself out of there, and he did. And he's doing very well. So I'm a big fan of Jacoby, and I'm a big fan of him being on this list. My number 1 is going to be somebody who's returning to my list from just a few weeks ago. It's going to be Stephon Diggs, wide receiver, New England Patriots against the New York Football Jets. The Patriots are facing the Jets, team that has allowed at least one receiver to score nearly 20 PPR points in 4 of the last 5 games. With Booty going to most likely be out as well as Henderson, I'm anticipating and predicting Diggs to be that wide receiver. Furthermore, I'm a big advocate of these types of little nonchalant nuggets. Diggs has a history of production against this type of team, and he's actually going against potential contract incentives for 1,000-yard receivings on the line. He needs 4 more catches for a $500,000 bonus, and he needs 131 more yards to unlock a $500,000 bonus. So he is on pace for he has a potential to make $1 million of extra contractual incentives just by having a day similar to what he had last week. Now, if you think 131 yards is a lot, last week he went 9 for 10 for 138 yards. So these are numbers that are not only doable, but very well possible against this 29th ranked New York Jets secondary. Then Stephon Diggs with confidence is my number 1.
You're going with the wide receiver for confidence. I'm going with the running back for confidence. Another guy that I said earlier in the year was not going to be the number 1 by the end of the year. However, Trevion Henderson probably not playing in this game. So Ramondre Stevenson, fire him up against the Jets defense. Tied third most 20-plus yard runs allowed in 13. That's almost 1 a week. Fifth most rush yards allowed with 2,005. And like I said before, Henderson coming off of a head injury. I doubt he's playing. They're already in the playoffs. Yeah, I have a feeling Stevenson's going to be running the ball a lot because they don't really have anything behind them, and I don't see this game being very close. So fire him up. And by the way, I have a feeling Drake May, for what Stephon Diggs has done for him this year, is going to get that stuff done for Diggs. I agree with you on that one as well.
Looking forward to it.
So there are 10 a little bit bigger names than typical, especially for me, that hopefully will help you win your chip. I know a couple of them are going to help me. Moving on, we're going to talk about the 2026 draft a little bit, but really it's more about the college football playoff prospects. So I used the NFL draft projections that we'll talk about from PFF, and that was a first round draft only that they had there. And Dynasty, for the Dynasty draft pick, I used Dynasty Superflex Tight End Premium from Draft Dynasty Nerds, which is one of the podcasts I listen to. So we're going to start out, go through each game and kind of tell you what players to watch and why. So first off, we have the Rose Bowl, number 1, Indiana against number 9, Alabama, who just came off a big win to Oklahoma. They play New Year's Day at 4 p.m. Fernando Mendoza, obviously the number 1 person we want to talk about here. Indiana's quarterback. They have him at pick number 1.02 in fantasy drafts, in rookie mocks. Stats, he's 6'5", 225 pounds. That is absolute prototypical size. Passing, 226 of 316 for 2,980 yards, 71.5% completion percentage, and 33. This is the impressive part: 33 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. He also rushes the ball 69 carries for 240 yards and 6 touchdowns as well. Projected to be the number 1 overall pick for whoever ends up being the number 1 or trade out to be no matter what happens, he's probably going to be the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, the trade out option, because I think this is the first overall pick. I don't know presently, I think at this given moment, the Giants have the first overall pick. Obviously, the Giants are not going to want to maneuver this selection here. This is not one of those ones where the quarterback falls to the team. This is the one where the team falls to the quarterback. So I do anticipate him to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. He led his team to 13-0 regular season. He's exceptional performance. He's won the Heisman Trophy, obviously, which you're going to talk about. Which obviously he also ran the Maxwell Championship, Walter Camp, and Davey O'Brien awards. And he was also the AP Player of the Year honors. So he has a very impressive resume built, and he's going to be ready for the NFL.
Yeah, man. All that to say, he was the best player in college football this year, like flat out, especially quarterback wise. He actually helped make Indiana a quote unquote football school because they've always been a basketball school, but him and his coach have kind of flipped the script a little bit, and I think this continues even after he leaves. He does throw to a pretty prominent wide receiver target in Elijah Surratt, Indiana wide receiver. He's suggested pick is 2.09, so middle to late in the second round of your mock dynasty drafts there. 6'2", 209 pounds, 51 receptions, 687 yards, 12 touchdowns. Jeremy, what you got for me?
Yeah, he's known for his exceptional route running and reliable hands. He's a former 0-star recruit, actually, but he provided critics wrong by earning all conference honors in each of his 3 collegiate seasons at St. Francis, James Madison, and Indiana. His reliability, particularly in contested catching situations, earns him the nickname Waffle House from his father because he's, quote, always open. I like that. I do. I like that a lot. I like that. I hope it sticks. While he does lack top elite top end speed, his technique and football intelligence project him, as we said, likely day 2 project selection in the upcoming draft.
Beautiful. Like I said before, they play Alabama. So their quarterback, Ty Simpson, pick number 1.07 in Dynasty mock drafts. So middle of the first round there. 6'2", 208 pounds, 293 completions on 457 passing attempts, 3,500 yards, 64.1% completion percentage, 28 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, also runs the ball, 87 carries, 76 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Projected number 27 overall pick. This is all if he comes out. There is a very strong suspicion that he's going to return. The only way I think he comes out is if Alabama somehow wins the national championship. Is my guess. but as everything I've heard, he's probably coming back. This is only 1 year as a starter, which most people like to have at least 2 years, especially or to start in the NFL. So I believe he'll be coming back. But what do you got for him?
Yeah, I mean, he's impressed analysts and with everybody and all the scouts and everything with his poise in the pocket, his accurate throws on the run, his ability to improvise when plays break down. Um, I think, honestly, some NFL execs are kind of divided just regarding like his professional fit as well. I know he needs to have some time. I think some college time kind of help him overall that. But his strong season, he's still poised to be a first round pick in the draft, and I'm looking forward to seeing if he does come out if he chooses to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. And he did. They did. Excuse me. Alabama did defeat number 8 Oklahoma 34-24 last weekend, or this past weekend. Excuse me, on Saturday. Friday night. 18-29, 212 yards, a touchdown and an interception. So not too shabby. In what was a pretty good game there. For Ty Simpson also has a wide receiver he throws to pretty regularly. That is coming out, Jeremy Bernard. He's considered pick 201, so right at the beginning of the second round there for your dynasty drafts. As of right now, all of these numbers probably will change after the combine. However, this is as of right now. So 6'1", 204 pounds, 60 receptions for 802 yards, 7 touchdowns. Also ran the ball 18 times for 101 yards and 2 more touchdowns. So he's kind of like that gadget guy a little bit as well. Jeremy, what do you got?
Yeah, he's known for his reliable hands and his versatility, basically. Bernard's all-purpose game is a major asset. He's also contributes as a rusher, as you mentioned, occasionally as a passer, accounting for a total of 9 touchdowns in 2025 so far. His ability to make contested catches definitely gain significant yards of the catches, drawing the attention from NFL scouts. And as you mentioned, the experts project him as a potential day 2 selection in the upcoming draft, with some viewing him as a top 75 prospect.
Yeah, so again, they played Oklahoma, and his stats there were 3 receptions for 40 yards. So not a whole lot going on for him in that game, but he's had a great year nonetheless. And again, they play Indiana, number 1 in the country, in the Rose Bowl, New Year's Day at 4 p.m. Moving on, we have the Cotton Bowl, number 2 Ohio State versus number 10 Miami, with an upset win there this past weekend on New Year's Eve, 7:30 p.m. Cornell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State, supposedly the pick 1.04 in the Dynasty mocks that we see so far, or from Dynasty Nerds. 6'3", 191 pounds, 48 receptions, 838 yards, and 9 touchdowns. 2 carries for 16 yards as well, so it does come out of the backfield a little bit. Not too much there, though. Probably a little bit of gadget stuff. Projected the number 3 overall pick. What about you, Jeremy? What did you see on him?
Yeah, what I saw was definitely exceptional route running, body control, and again, the reliable hands. I mean, the dude's a former 5-star recruit. He's earning first team all Big Ten honors, and he's second team All American recognition. He's averaging an explosive 17.5 yards per catch. Like, that's just insane numerics for a pro, let alone a collegian. This is despite playing against playing along with Jeremiah Smith. So I mean, he's a key deep threat. He's a go-to target in critical situations. He's just the overall superior wide receiver, and it doesn't surprise me that he's a top projected overall pick.
Yeah, he's been flying up draft boards. I don't think he can go up much higher than number 3 right now, but he has been flying up draft boards as the year goes on. He's like Igbuka, though. I mean, they do have Jeremiah Smith, as you said, so he's considered the number 2 wide receiver on that team. You know he's on a diva because he's not begging for the ball or anything like that, which is good to see, and he's number 2 on his own college team. Which is awesome to see. Also, we have a tight end in that game for Ohio State, Max Clare, pick 3.01, so early on in the third round for there. Probably the second or third tight end taken in a draft is what I'm hearing. 6'5", 243 pounds, 43 receptions, 448 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the year. Projected day 2 pick. Jeremy, what you got?
Yeah, he's reliable hands and route running ability. 2025, his numbers, if you try to compare them to 2024, they have dipped a little bit just because of the crowded wide receiver room in Ohio State, which we've been talking about for the past 5 minutes. But he's still proven to be a dependable target at key moments for everybody. He's an explosive vertical threat, which is great to have as a tight end. Good size, strong instincts to find some soft spots in zone coverage. He's improved his blocking skills significantly as well since transferring, making him a more well-rounded player, in my opinion. I don't believe he's decided what he wants to do yet for the draft, but he could be as early as a day 2 selection, in my opinion, as he comes out right now.
Yeah, no, I like both of these guys for Ohio State a lot. And then we have a Carson Beck from Miami, the quarterback there, pick 3.05. So mid tier of the third round there for your dynasty mock drafts. 6'4", 220 pounds, 277 of 372, 3,175 yards on the year, 74.5% completion percentage, 26 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 42 carries for 33 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Also caught a ball for 14 yards and a touchdown as well, which is kind of cool to see. Has hands a little bit there. Projected day 2 pick as well. From what I see, I know some other people do have it as a day 3 pick early, but I believe you'll probably end up as a day 2 pick.
Yeah, I agree. What's helping him is an impressive college career. I mean, he's 34-5 right now as a starter. He leads all active players with over 10,000 passing yards. He's significant toughness. He's a strong arm. He is definitely one of the better to read defenses. And like you said, I think that's where he ranks. I think he's going to fall in a late day 2 pick.
Yeah, absolutely. He played for Georgia in 2023 and 2024, transferred from Georgia to Miami after 24. 23 went well, just missed the 14 playoff. And then in 24, he was injured in the SEC title game, but did make it they did win the game and did go to the playoff, but he wasn't unfortunately in it, so they did lose in the first round. So, didn't perform as high as everyone expected, though, in 24, which is why he transferred out into Miami because Georgia ended up finding a new quarterback. Ended up being able to resurge his career, basically, make a college resurgence, I guess, for Miami, and ended up defeating number 7 Texas A&M 10-3 on a super windy day, 14-20. 103 yards and a touchdown. Numbers don't look great, but from what I understand, from what Pat McAfee said, because he was on the field, it was insane wind. Like cowboy hats flying everywhere is what he was saying. So we'll give him a break on that one. I know when I saw him live playing against Pitt, he smoked us, but Pitt's a different caliber of team. So moving on, we have the Orange Bowl, number 4 Texas Tech versus number 5 Oregon, New Year's Day at noon. Of course, we have Dante Moore, quarterback from Oregon, pick 1.06 in your dynasty mock drafts. 6'3", 206 pounds, 340 for 246, 3,046 yards, 72.4% completion percentage, 28 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, also 58 carries for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns. Projected number 2 overall pick if he comes out. Another guy who may not come out. He has started less than 20 games in his career. He did start a few games for UCLA, but a couple years ago as well. But I think he should go back, but we'll see what happens there. What do you have?
Yeah, I agree. I think he should go back, but it really all depends on how the chips fall in regards to who's going to need a quarterback and how this combine goes. I mean, obviously, now these games go here. I mean, his composure in his intelligence level is crazy because he's a redshirt sophomore. As you mentioned, like he did come from UCLA his freshman year, and he immediately took over the starting job. I do know that analysts like his ability to extend plays, make accurate throws in a run, and navigate pressure without much panic. But from what I'm reading the same things. Draft experts are reportedly divided on if he'll declare for the draft or not, but many consider him as a potential top 5 pick if he does.
Yeah, and I think Mel Kiper Jr. actually has him as the number 1 quarterback, meaning he'll probably be the number 1 pick in his eyes. if he does come out. Like I said, I don't know if he will or not. But Oregon defeated JMU, number 12, 51-34. If you watch the game, it wasn't that close. They ended up coming back late. JMU a little bit there. 19-27, 313 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. I'd say that's a pretty good day on the big stage there. He has an absolute freak of a tight end, and yes, I'm super biased. I love this kid. Pick 110, and if he falls that far, be very happy that you receive him there in your dynasty mock drafts. 6'3", 245 pounds, 42 receptions, 509 yards, 8 touchdowns. Also carried the ball 3 times for only 6 yards, but he still has that ability to be able to run from the backfield as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Freak Sadiq, man. He's a talented junior tight end, known for his exceptional athleticism and playmaking ability. He's considered a versatile weapon, lining up on all formation styles, and he's willing to be a strong blocker as well. That's something that is definitely crucial coming out of the college aspects, is that these kids are willing to be blockers as well, because then they're immediately going to get on the field a lot faster than the pass catching tight ends. This unique combination of size, speed, and reliable hands do make him a difficult matchup for defenses on those lines. So, yeah, I'd be excited to see exactly where he goes and see the opportunity that arises for him.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't go to the Vegas Raiders, I'll be okay. They have 2 already. They don't need another one. But no, I absolutely love Sadiq, 100%. So, but those were the only 2 guys for the next game. No one from Texas Tech that I saw. Their defense is really good from what I understand. So that might be why. Next, we have the Sugar Bowl, number 3 Georgia versus number 6 Ole Miss. Just one player in this game, which I was pretty surprised about when I was reading up on it. Pick 3.06. It's Zachariah Branch, Georgia's wide receiver, 5'10", 180 pounds, 73 receptions, 744 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4 carries for 7 yards as well. Projected day 2 pick. He's also a punt kick returner. Did that pretty consistently this past year and in his career. What do you got?
Yeah, he's a dynamic junior wide receiver and return specialist, as you mentioned. And he has elite speed, game-breaking abilities. He transferred from USC after 2024, seeking competitive culture, and he's getting it now at Georgia. Some experts project him at potential 2nd or 4th round pick in the 2026 draft. Others see him as a day 1 NFL upside due to his exceptional athleticism.
Interesting. I did not realize he could be a day 1 pick. I mean, obviously, it's all going to come down to the combine for him, I think, because of his speed and everything.
And these games,
these games definitely.
These playoffs have made these already immaculately massive bowl games even more immaculately massive. The platform and the viewership on these games is going to be through the roof. There's going to be scouts in every corner of these stadiums. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But I'm telling you, these bowl games are huge.
No, absolutely. I agree. And I'm going to talk about one other guy who did get eliminated because he was in the playoff. We just didn't talk about it last week. KC Concepcion from Texas A&M, wide receiver. Pick 1.08, one of the top wide receivers in this draft coming up here. Stats, he's 5'11", 190 pounds. Receiver, 61 receptions, 919 yards, 9 touchdowns. Also carried the ball 10 times for 75 yards and a touchdown on top of that. Projected number 28 overall pick, so late 1st round. Also a punt returner. He had 2 touchdowns this past year as a punt returner, so you got to have breakaway speed, breakout speed. And I watched him in a couple of games, and he's probably one of my favorite receivers with Cornell Tate.
Yeah, he was a highly touted transfer from North Carolina State, and he's having a career year in 2025. He's awarded All-American honors, and he's actually won the Paul Honoran Award for the nation's most versatile player. His exceptional run after catch skills and dynamic route running have made him a focal point of the Aggies offense. I do know he recently declared for the draft. And yeah, from what I'm reading and understanding, he's widely projected to be a 1st or early 2nd round pick.
And just for me personally, this is the guy that I kind of hope the Steelers grab. That's just my personal. For me personally, I would love that. I think he would fit perfectly with this offense. Anyway, anybody else we didn't talk about that you think we might need to? I know there's 2 running backs for Miami who actually absolutely went off this past weekend, but they were not on the board from what I saw. So, which I was pretty surprised about. They might be coming back, which would be dangerous. But other than that, those are the only two extra guys I saw.
No, I think we mentioned the most important in Miami and Carson Beck. I think we nailed. I think we nailed it here, and I'm looking forward to seeing these bowl games.
Absolutely, it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you watch those. And if you don't like watching college because you're like, it's just they're not quite there yet. Watch it for this if you're in Dynasty because eye test is better than anything you'll ever use, in my opinion. So definitely do that. So is there anything else you want to talk about at all, Jeremy? I mean, it's finals week, baby. We're getting it. We're getting it in.
No, it's finals week. This is the thick of it. Just an absolute best of luck to everybody, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you, Mr. Mickey.
Thank you. I almost forgot that it is Christmas week. It's only 2 days away, and I almost forgot because we're talking about football, and I'm so stoked. It's final. Like I said, it's finals week, but it is Christmas as well. And with that, don't forget there's 3 games on Thursday, some games on Saturday.
Nice segue. Good job. Yeah.
So make sure you set your lineups accordingly, especially if you're in the finals. Don't screw it up this week for that reason, for sure. Next week, we're going to talk about the awards show. We're going to have our awards show, basically. Some fun. We did this mid-season, and I thought it was pretty fun. Pick out some different kind of awards, maybe just award the same awards that we talked about in the mid-season and see where the differences lie there. And also, we'll keep you updated on what happens. Hopefully we have 3 championships on this podcast coming back next week. I believe we will.
It's right. So, let's hope.
So for Jeremy, I'm Mickey. This has been Dynasty Mountaintops, excuse me. Check us out on Podbean, YouTube, Apple. Also our socials at dynastymttops on Blue Sky and X. Email us dynastymttops@gmail.com for any comments, show ideas. Are you in your finals? What are you going to do to win? Other things like that. But again, for Jeremy, I'm Mickey. This has been Dynasty Mountaintops. Have a great week. Good luck. Win your championships. See you.
So luck, everyone.